Hey,
Hey, how are you?
good. Yourself?
I'm good, I'm good.
Dude, we finally get to record another episode of our beloved podcast.
Yes, we've been busy lately with exams. As it says in our description, we're two university students and it was finals week these past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we didn't have much time to record. But now we're happy to be back.
On a random note, let me ask you a question right here. So, it might sound like super random and weird at first, but you'll see what I mean, eventually. So take your two hands, put it in front of you, like your what's it called, the palm of your hand facing your face, right?
Yeah.
And then so interlock your fingers between each other and like putting it into like the prayer position, you know.
Yes.
So if you look at your hand while doing this, uh, so you have your thumbs, and you have the finger after that thumb. What is it called? The
The
index.
index finger.
The
Yeah.
index. So which index finger from what hand is on top?
My left hand.
Left hand.
Wait,
Interesting.
the one that's closest to my thumbs or the one that's on top of the other one?
The ones that on top of the other one. Well, it's the same.
Oh, then it's the right.
So the right finger, the right index is on top of your other index.
Yes.
Interesting. If you switch them around now, do it now. Put the left index on top.
Yeah.
Does it feel natural?
No.
Why?
I have no idea.
See, I've been testing this out with my group of friends, with our common friends as well. Actually, Sunday afternoon, we were trying this out. I asked my parents, my brother, my friends, and they all come to the same conclusion. Like most people are more comfortable with the right index, it seems, to being on top. But there's always some people like my dad. He's a left index on top person. So, which is interesting.
Yeah, for real. I never actually thought about that.
So if we follow that logic, let's say one day you get into a couple, you get a significant other, and you hold hands. If both of you don't have the same index preference, while you're holding
won't
hands,
feel natural.
it won't feel natural. So what I'm saying here is that most of divorces in the States, which is basically 50% of divorces, is due to indexes being not comfortable for holding hands.
We solved the world's problems.
There you go.
We solved why everyone's divorcing.
So like the Nazis were trying to find the secret of like having successful marriage, and they were looking into like genes to find it. Well, it actually wasn't that hard. It was just to look on which index goes which in which. So if you find two people which have the same preference for the index being on top, well,
They'll get married.
there you go. It's a perfect couple, no divorce.
Yeah.
And seemingly that's almost 50% of people prefer right, and almost 50%. I think it's a bit more, like 60% left. 60% of the people like to put their right index on top, and the rest of the 40 is underneath. Yeah, that's pretty similar to Look, I'm gonna write a PhD on this, and then I'm gonna get a Nobel Prize, and I'm gonna solve world hunger just because of that. Your index.
Just because of this. You'll keep marriages alive, Michael.
There you go.
This is groundbreaking.
I have solved the father leaving the household crisis in the States.
You have.
Look at me. I've achieved more than Obama in 5 minutes.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You should become president,
Yep.
even though you're Canadian.
No, seriously, if I become president, I'll become a dictator. I couldn't stand someone undoing all the work I did after I leave.
That's true. But unless you're Trudeau and you legalize marijuana and you change national anthem, I don't think there's anybody that's going to be changing those back.
Dude,
Which sucks. For us.
I like our national anthem. Why does he have to change it?
I don't know. Like, are you serious? Because the fact that it says sons,
Anyways,
you change it to us.
yeah.
It's just, it's disgusting. Like, just don't touch the anthem. Like, you could do whatever, legalize everything you want or whatever. Just don't touch the anthem.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's terrible. Anyways.
Yeah. Speaking about things we touch, our Apple Watch. So that's our first topic.
Yes.
Let's get to it. And so, welcome to the Again and Again podcast. I'm Michael, joined here with my co host Daniel. This is episode 8 of the Again and Again podcast. And so, Daniel, tell us about. Well, actually, you don't have to tell me anything. We've been wearing the Apple Watch for about 6 months now, and
Yes.
I have a Series 3. You have a Series 4, and so far, I'm really happy with it. Like really happy. And
Yeah,
so
me too.
the way I want to go about this is probably I want us to go over what we expected before having them, before having the Apple Watch, and then say what you liked after having the Apple Watch, and what would you change about them. So let's do this in threefolds. So what did you think you would like, or what was your impression before having? What did you think was it like before using an Apple Watch? What would it be like?
Well, I sort of cheated because I got my Apple Watch, this one that I have now. I got it around September of 2018, but in June or May 2018, I bought a Series 3 and I used it for the 14 days and then I returned it.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew what I was expecting. I already knew what I was going to expect with the Apple Watch because of the fact that I already owned one for like a 2 week time. I really liked it. I used it for those 2 weeks and I didn't want to return. I'm like, no. But then I heard about the fact that the Series 4 was going to be like sort of like a generational change. So then I figured I'm like, and then it was coming out in like a few months because it came out in September, right?
Yeah.
And I had gotten that Series 3 in, I think it was June. I'm pretty sure it was June. Yeah, it was June last year. So I'm like, no, I want to keep it. But then I figured like if I waited, either way, like either the Series 3 would be cheaper or you would just get the Series 4. I ended up going with the Series 4. But what I was expecting before I got like, let's say the first one, I don't know, because I didn't really know too much what to expect. I mean, I did see them at the Apple Store.
Uh-huh.
I've used them at the Apple Store, but that's like you can't compare using a device at the Apple Store to actually it being your device. And when you put your Apple ID and you download all your apps and you have your name like as the Apple ID, like you can't really like, using a device at the Apple Store, it doesn't feel the same. I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it. It's just it's so I've used them at the Apple Store and I knew about all the heart rate stuff and like the exercises, and I watched videos on them before I bought it. But for what I expected before I got the Apple Watch, I expected it. I honestly it exceeded my expectations. I love it now. I can't live without the Apple Watch. I wear it every day, and if I don't have it, I feel like where's my watch? How about you?
Well, it's about the same. I'd say, since like, before getting the Apple Watch. Well, first of all, I got the Apple Watch for a birthday gift. So I got it around the month of November, and I don't know what I was expecting. I knew that like I knew the features from watching reviews and like hearing about it, and like I didn't really know anybody around me like in our entourage, where you and I were probably the first people to ever have an Apple Watch, right? We're actually
Yeah, we
we're
were.
actually the first of having anything in our entourage. So the first
That's
at
true.
having AirPods, the first at having iPhones actually. While we're at it,
Well, my
and I,
sister had an iPhone before me.
yeah, but like in general, in our general entourage, mostly everyone has Android, you know,
True, true.
and iPad Pros. That's probably only us,
Yeah,
and so I knew from experience of like watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, that the Apple Watch was pretty good, but I didn't know I didn't exactly know what I would use it for. I knew like what was the potential, and only when I got it, I realized how useful and how to integrate it in my lifestyle and how I can make it work for me. See, the usefulness aspect only came after I got it and used it for a week or so, where I found where it could be useful in my in my daily workflow in my life and what I do. And like I put the apps, I set it up the way I like it. I put the watch faces with the widgets that I want to use and I want to have handy when I use them. So I found a niche in my or a place in my workflow where I would usually pull out my phone where I maybe shouldn't pull out my phone. Like, it seems overkill just to read your notifications and check if something important happened to pull out your phone every single time. Whereas if you just flick your wrist towards you, it'll display the notification, and then you could see, oh, okay, this is not worth taking action on, or if it is worth taking action on, you should pull out your phone and then complete it. And then again, there's all the other features that come with it. You know, the GPS, the now playing with
Yes.
the media controls for the AirPods, which integrate very nicely together. Which it basically completes the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch completes the AirPods. So, yeah, that was my impression before and after having it.
And now, after having it for 6 months, what is it like?
Yeah, like in a sense, I I I actually forgot to wear it one day. I had my exam last Wednesday and put it on the charger to have a full battery. I generally know that my battery will last about 2 days, 2 full days. A bit less if I go to the gym and enable the workout mode, where it consumes more battery for the heart rate tracking and everything else.
Yes, because it does the heart rate tracking for the entire workout.
Exactly.
Like it's always on for the whole workout.
Yeah. And so I was expecting I was expecting to like recharge my battery before going to school, and I forgot it. I forgot to put it back on my wrist,
Oh no.
so I left it at home. And during the whole day, every time every once in a while, I'd look at my wrist. You know, not in the sense because I wanted to like divert my attention from what I'm doing, but I wanted to see like the time. What is the weather like outside? Um, uh, or when I wanted to write down or check what day of the week we are. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see how I've progressed in my daily activity, which I couldn't anymore. So all these reflexes that I've built in the past 6 months, just having me forgetting the Apple Watch one day, I saw how much it basically disturbed my routine and the way I do things. So of course that day my daily activity wasn't put into the application, but regardless, it adds some motivation. There's a motivation aspect to the activity tracker, and that day I didn't have it, which felt different. And so yeah,
Yeah, with you on the topic of the motivation with the activity tracker, the rings are like such a good motivation because sometimes you're like you just want to close your ring. So there's been times where it's like, oh no, I have like 5 minutes left on my exercise ring. Let me go for a walk or something like that. Or oh, my calories like it really encourages you to be more active because once you close all three rings once, it's so addictive and you want to do it again and again.
true.
So I find that the rings are a very good way of motivating. And now with WatchOS 5 and iOS 13, with the fact that they're adding long term like charts where you could see like your progress over a month or over a year, how you could see either you improved or performed worse. I find that's gonna increase people's motivation even more, either to break their records or to not slack off.
That's totally true. And not only that, it motivates you to finish a workout. Let's say you have to close your ring right now, and so you go on a walk before it hits midnight. But what I've also noticed, I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, um, I basically changed the way I do things around or I plan my day. I'll try to get in more workouts interspersed throughout my schedule during the day so that I don't have to do a 20-minute run or whatever outside at night. See what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
generally speaking, like if let's say I'm studying or I'm doing some work, I'll I'm the kind of person that will just like stay hyper focused on the task and will just stay sitting for like many hours without moving. What the watch does, it reminds me to get up every hour for a certain amount of minutes, and it only requires me to get up. But what I do is I take advantage of doing tasks while standing up, which also count in my exercise. So walking to and fro from my office, and you know, let's say in my job we still use paper snail mail. So let's say I have to go to put some letters give letters to the courier or put it in the mailbox. Well, I'll go do that during that 5 minute break. Might as well take advantage of it. And so I go outside. I walk for like the 5 minutes it takes to get to the mailbox, and then come back. Then a few hours pass or an hour pass, and I need to get up again. So I just walk around, find something else to do while standing up and walking. So just to get moving all the time, and so that helps to reach the goal and not having to rush at the end of the day, and
Yes.
and that way you
Yeah.
stay healthier. You don't feel as tired. Um, you don't hit a down in the middle of the day because you're always active. You're not sitting down for countless hours, which is good.
Exactly.
How about
Yeah,
you, bro?
because you're getting up and you're moving around. Well, the Apple Watch, I love it. I wouldn't like you said, if I don't have it. I actually have not forgotten it in a day. So I don't know exactly what it feels like to have an Apple Watch after all these months not having it for a day. But I can say that like during my exams, you're obviously you can't have the watch on because they say that you're not allowed any electronic communication devices. But it feels so weird like just to have your wrist empty,
Yeah.
and like you want to check the time or you want to see like your heart rate or something. Like I mean during an exam, because sometimes you're nervous, so it's you're just curious of what's my heart rate at. And it's just weird not to have it on. And it's same like you said, the thing about sometimes like you're resting or whatever, and like I'm sitting down on the couch and I'm watching a video or something, and then YouTube, you go from one video to the next video, and then next thing you know it's like an hour. And then after you watch, like, beeps and it's like, hey, it's been you haven't moved, you haven't stood up, you didn't get your stand for this hour. Get up and move around for a minute so that you can get your progress towards your stand ring. And that like you said, it makes you get up. And then when you're up, then when you get up, because you already didn't want to stay that long, and since you already got up, you don't go back. And because of that, then you start doing something else, and then you're more productive. So
Yeah.
I find that in that way, it actually helps my productivity. And like you said, the fact that you don't always have to pull out your phone for notifications, that's a very nice feature. I really like that, because sometimes, like, you're in the bus or you're in the metro and you're wearing jeans and you're sitting down. And you know what it's like to get a phone out of jeans when you're sitting down. You have to stretch out your leg and like dig your hand into your pocket and then pull out your phone and everything, and you make a
Bother
whole
the
big
person right
scene
next
and
to
everything.
you.
Exactly, bother the person next to you, all that stuff. But meanwhile, if it's just like, I don't know, there's people talking in a group chat and you don't really care about what they're talking about. It's like, oh, what did I get? And then you pull out your phone and you're like, oh, it was useless. Then you have to like stick your phone back in your pocket and disturb everyone again. Like this, you just like take a look at your watch. You're like, oh, okay, it's just that. Or let's say it's a useless email or whatever that you don't need to check. In that way, I find it very handy. Also, something that I really, really like is the audio playback controls from the watch to the AirPods.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I love it. I love it. I use it all the time on the bus, on the metro, when I'm working out, even sometimes when I'm just like at home or something and I'm playing some music on my phone. Because sometimes, especially when I'm working out, I'll just leave my phone on the desk, and then after I'll go and I'll work out. And then after, let's say I don't like the song that's playing next, or I want to pause, or I want to adjust the volume because it gets a bit louder. Let's say I'm listening to a podcast and I want to rewind or something. And I don't have to stop what I'm doing, get up, get off the bench, go to my phone, pick it up, press pause or lower the volume, all from your wrist in the middle of your workout. Whatever, you finish your reps, you go, you fix your audio, and then you continue what you're doing. Same thing on the bus. Like I said, you're sitting, you have your phone in your jeans, instead of having to pull it out, you just on your phone, on your watch, you just pause, play, rewind. I find it's really convenient in that way. There's just it does a lot of little things right that makes such a difference, that it's just without them it would be so different. It would be so much more like it's very efficient, the watch, I find. And even like the workout tracking, every time I go for a walk or every time I go for a run, or if I'm doing some weight training or something, and it gives you everything. It gives you like your heart rate, it gives you how many calories you burnt and all that stuff. And not only that, it keeps you active too. So I like the watch in those aspects. And also I like texting on the watch. It's not, I like receiving texts. Sending out text is a bit harder with the scribble. Sometimes it doesn't understand what you're writing.
Yeah, one word
But
response is fine though. If it's like just
exactly,
yes, no, okay,
yeah.
it's fine.
If you're
But
writing something long, but then there's even the talk to speech,
or
talk to text. Sorry.
yeah, or the
Yeah.
predictive stuff, the predictive
Yes. Yes.
that works pretty well. So
Yeah.
there's like this curated list of all those pre-written answers. You could just tap on one, and
And
like
it sends automatically.
yeah, and I think it's
Yeah.
there's an AI component to it where it analyzes what the message you received on device, and then it tailors appropriate
Yes.
responses to it.
There is one. Yeah. I noticed that sometimes when I receive certain messages.
Especially for the workout notifications, so we can message and tease each other.
Yes, I like those things. Yeah. Because what happens is, because we're sharing our activity on our Apple Watches. So what happens is, every time Michael completes a workout, or every time I complete a workout, I'll get a notification that Michael just completed a walk of 1 kilometer. And then after, when you press on that notification, it'll give you an option to send like a little emoji, like saying like, you completed this workout. There's these pre-written messages. One is like, great job on going out for a walk, or one of them is like the 3 mind-blowing emojis, like 3 of them stacked. And there's just these little things, and it's fun to send those.
And some of the other responses are like a bit more sassier. Like some of them are like,
Yes.
I do that for breakfast, or like something like that, you know?
Yeah, or like a nice try or something like that. Yeah, they're funny. They're funny. I like sending those.
Yeah, yeah. And so, overall, like it's been a great experience. But I do have like minor gripes or things I would like for it to be improved. I don't know. I don't know about you. Since I have a generation older than yours, it might be fixed on your generation of Apple Watch. But what I'd like on mine is overall better glass. It's good glass. It didn't shatter. I'm the kind of person that when he wears a watch, he dings it everywhere, and like you could tell from all my older watches that they've been through hell. Thankfully, they all had sapphire glass. Like all of the watches, I had a Seiko watch, which is a really nice Japanese brand, and thankfully it has a nice stainless steel frame with the sapphire glass, so it's not prone to scratches. But the Apple Watch itself, it doesn't have the one I have. It doesn't have the sapphire glass. It just has
Me neither.
the Ion X, which is solid, but there's this coating on top of it which is scratched. So you could
Same.
tell
I get.
that there's on top of the glass this little coating. I don't know exactly what it is. It might be an anti-reflective coating, or some kind of coating, and it's there's little micro scratches on it from me dinging on or hitting it, and probably I should be more careful in my own activities, like to where I put my hands, how I position my hand. There's probably a part that I'm responsible for, but also I believe that they could improve it and make it better, and it would overall serve the user way better. And another thing I'd like is a better way to, or a faster and better way to import content. So music, podcasts. That's pretty much it, actually. There's already a way to do it right now, but it's pretty slow. And
Yeah, it's
some of them,
complicated.
yeah, and some of them require you to put your phone, to put your watch on the charger.
Yes, with the podcast app, the Apple Podcast, if you want to sync podcasts, it has to be on the charger, which is pretty
Overcast
annoying.
Overcast does it over the air, but it's really slow, like incredibly slow.
Yes,
To
but
me, it's like not worth it. I hope that with the new audio engines in iOS 13 and in Apple Watch 6, right?
WatchOS 6, yeah.
Yeah, watch Apple Watch OS 6. They have these new features to enable better podcasting. But they have better audio interfaces and protocols to make that stuff easier. And hopefully, in the near future, it'll be fixed. And yeah,
I agree with you on the fact of the screen, how a scratch is a bit easier. I would have liked for them to put a sapphire screen. I know that would raise the price, but I would pay an extra $50 or whatever, $100 if you get a sapphire screen, because I do have a few scratches on my watch. Like you said, sometimes like you don't realize and you just like do something and it hits. Like I got a screen at the bottom. I got a screen. I got a scratch at the bottom of my screen. It's on the bezel, so it's not that bad, but it's a pretty big groove. Like what happened was I was at school and had to go to the washroom, and I was on a urinal, and as I was opening the button of my pants, my watch, like as I like twisted my wrist, the watch hit the side of the urinal, and that's ceramic.
yeah, that's hard
And that
stuff.
put, yeah, exactly, and that put like this groove on the bottom of the watch, of the screen. I was pretty upset. I was happy it wasn't like on the part where there's pixels, it was on the bezel. But it would be nice if the screen was a little bit harder and could resist scratches. Like I have a few micro scratches on the screen, and sometimes in like certain light reflections or when the light is hitting it a certain way, you see them. And it would be nicer if they weren't there. It's not the end of the world. It's like, oh no, I can't use my watch. Like you barely see them. It's only like at certain angles with the light. But it would be nicer if the screen was a little bit harder and a little bit more resistant to scratches. I agree with you on that one.
But you know what? The screen is so bright on the Apple Watch that when it's turned on, you can't see any of those scratches, anyways. Which is a nice thing. Which is a
That's
really
true.
nice thing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You know that the screen of the Series 4 was rated the best screen of 2018.
Yes, I heard that. Which
It's
is pretty,
incredible.
actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, compared
It,
to
it,
like all the screens that were released that year, all the phones, all this the even that means it's better than like the 10s, and like it's crazy.
yeah.
But
Do you have anything else that you'd like to see on the Apple Watch? Because we could hope for better features and like really ambitious features. But do you have other features in mind where they're more realistic?
there's nothing really. For me, the Apple Watch is like it's perfect. The screen is beautiful. The
Yeah.
battery life is amazing. The only thing I would like is sleep tracking, native sleep tracking from the for like in the, integrated in the iOS, like from Apple.
Ooh. Yes, yes.
That's one thing I would like. But other than that, the Apple Watch is perfect for me. I find the size is perfect. The screen is nice. The speaker microphone is perfect. I use it for calls. I hear the person who's calling me perfectly, and they hear me well. Um, just the only one thing, my one complaint about the Apple Watch, or one of my complaints is when you use Siri. That sometimes is a little bit messy, because sometimes you'll ask Siri to do something, and what it'll do is it'll try to connect to your phone, and if your phone is not next to you, it'll take a while to do that, and then after it says, hold on, I'm trying, then it says, I'll tap you when I'm ready, and then sometimes it'll just completely ignore your thing, and it wouldn't do it. Like you ask Siri, call this person or
I
something,
totally
and
agree.
then after it'll say like, yeah, I'm trying to do it, I'll tap you when I'm ready, and then it just stops. So I would like it if that was fixed, but
No, it's totally a valid point. Actually, I kind of trained myself to not use the Siri too much on my watch because of that. It's kind of because it's unpredictable, not because it's bad. When it works, it works. But when it doesn't work, it's annoying because then you have to pull out your phone and repeat the same command on your phone,
yeah,
which
exactly.
which is like come on, watch, like figure it out, get your stuff together. and hopefully, both the sleep tracking and the Siri feature will be improved in the WatchOS 6. We could still hold hope for sleep tracking in WatchOS 6, since sometimes
Yes,
they release features they didn't release in WWDC in the September keynote. So
that's true.
yeah,
That's true.
you
So
could you could keep hope. Like it might
could
happen.
be could be on its way.
Yep.
Speaking of the Apple Watch, you can only use an Apple Watch with an iPhone. And you got a new iPhone, the iPhone 10R. How is
Yes.
it?
Yes. Oh, actually, it's incredible. Like I didn't expect it to be that good. And let me tell you the backstory. So, it's actually a funny story.
Yeah,
I
this guy
got
kept it hidden from me for like 2 weeks. He got the phone and he didn't tell me for 2 weeks.
and we
Everybody
were
knew except me.
and we saw each other like many times, and I was able to. Well, that's the thing. I tried to keep it a secret from Daniel to surprise him in a podcast and like to tease him about it, and it didn't work out. I kept it a secret for 2 weeks, but I guess Sunday, by
Yeah,
accident, I
Sunday.
pulled it out in front of him to show him a
And I
picture, and
saw
then.
it.
And I wasn't thinking, at this point, everyone knew I had it, so like my mental barriers were like off, and I wasn't thinking about like protecting the secret, and I guess it happened, but it was still funny to
I
like
couldn't believe it. I
you
was
looked
so
at
upset.
me you looked at me like a blank stare, like, you got an iPhone X. I'm like, no, it's XR. Like, you got an iPhone XR.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a 10S,
Yeah.
but I was so upset. I was like, why are you hiding it from me? And he even sent me screenshots off the phone.
Yeah, that's
I
the
didn't
worst part.
notice. Man.
To put like insult to injury. I was teasing him while he didn't know. So I sent him screenshots which have like the clear iPhone X and beyond user interface, where the time and the Wi-Fi and everything is in the corners of the top right and left corners of the phone, and then you on the bottom you have the navigation. What do you call it? The navigation.
I don't know, that little bar at the bottom.
That little
I don't know what it's called.
bar that replaced or mimics the home button. And
Yeah.
so you didn't notice. I also created few animojis in really improbable times, and he did not question.
Yeah, but this guy said he was using a friend's iPhone to do it.
Which I couldn't, because I wasn't with him, and you knew that.
I
So
didn't know. I thought, I don't know. I didn't think of that. I didn't think you would have
Yeah.
got the new phone.
and I also wrote it on our tech spec list on the website. So maybe Daniel, you should start spending more time every once in a while, looking at what I do on the website.
I'll refresh it. I'll look at it every day.
When you get the new reminders app refreshed in iOS 13,
Yeah.
you put a task, check website, and you have to check every single page, every single word, and then yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Anyways, and so yeah, like I'm super happy with the iPhone XR. I think we spoke about it. We touched on it briefly previously, and saying that I was kind of hesitant of the XR, as I didn't like it as much as the XS, but I changed my mind on that thing. Well, first of all, it's cheaper, and when I
Yeah.
mean cheaper, it's like if you buy it with
$300 cheaper. And
Actually-
the 10S.
actually $500 cheaper, because I buy it
Then
with
the
a plan.
10 at the max. Then the 10S Max.
No, the 10s, regular 10s, 128 gigs, $550 cheaper, and here's why. And that's Canadian Copex, Kanakistan, Copex, whatever you call them. So, or Canadian rupees actually. Yeah. So $500 cheaper. So that'll come out to maybe $370 US.
That's crazy.
If I do the math. And the reason why I got it so cheap is because I'm nearing the end of my contract on the 6S. And so I basically only have like a $90 balance left on it. And my plan will end in like 4 months. I was already planning of getting a new phone since I'm going on vacation. I want to take nice pictures. I don't want to carry my Sony A6300. So I just decided to, get a phone, or I was planning in my mind to get a new phone with a better camera, and knowing that the iPhone X had really good camera. The XR and the X has a superb camera with a really nice wide angle and beautiful color, and X HDR, auto HDR, that makes the pictures look really lifelike and the colors accurate to what you actually see. I really was like leaning towards it because $500 is not chump change.
No.
You don't find $500 in like between the cushions of your pillow, of your sofa. And the nice thing also about that is, I stayed with Bell. I told you once I was thinking about going with Fizz.
Yes.
I did some quick Excel or actually numbers. I used the number app, and I did some quick calculation as it came out that if I was going to buy the phone outright from Apple and then go with Fizz, I would pay $20 more per month. And
per month.
yeah. So and I would get less than what Bell was offering.
Wow.
And so I went with Bell, and the reason also, like to put a cherry on top of the cake, Bell forgave or pardoned my current balance on my old phone. So
That's amazing.
On my to pay off my phone, I had like $90 left, and so Bell forgave me that like I don't have to pay it anymore, which is really like I'm like what?
Yeah. Well, how long have you been with them for?
Now 2 years.
It could be maybe because you've been with them for a while and you're loyal that they did that. It could be.
Because Bell is not the cheapest company, but they don't have good service. Well, actually, almost no companies have good service. No ISP and carriers provider have good service. But out of all of them, Bell is probably one of the worst ones. Maybe Rogers is worse. And the only way they could retain customers, I guess, is by giving them a better deal if they stay. So they don't have to, because remember, in marketing, the rule is it is easier to keep a customer than to try to get a new one. It's cheaper.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So the money they save on trying to get me back, they could put it towards lowering my plan and keeping me.
Yes, exactly.
And same goes for employees. Like it's cheaper to keep an employee than to train a new one.
Now I have a few questions about the phone.
Sure, go ahead.
So my first question is, how is it without 3D touch and using haptic touch? I know that haptic touch in apps and like for, let's say in Control Center and everything, it works the same thing as 3D touch, just you have to hold down a bit longer because I have it on my iPad. I had two questions. When you do 3D touch on like a web page URL or on like a picture or something, and it'll bring up like a preview of the picture or a preview of the URL. Yes, yeah. Exactly. Well, does that work with haptic touch?
No. And here's the thing. That was one of my major gripes. I really love 3D touch. Like, really. Not because of the vibrations. It's basically another sensory input that allows you to interact with the interface, but it gives you another depth. The problem is it's not very discoverable.
No.
So you forget about it. It's not intuitive. Yes. And so going into the XR, I knew that I was going to miss 3D touch, the pressure sensitive screen, and I still to some extent do, but I don't in the same time. And let me explain why. See, haptic touch or haptic feedback from the XR has a mimicry of 3D touch, which is haptic feedback or haptic touch.
Which is a long press.
Yeah, exactly. And
sorry, just one little question. When you long press, does it give you a little vibration or no?
That's the thing. It does. And it for all intents and purposes, it feels the same. So there is no difference in feeling when clicking on stuff and holding on stuff. The only difference is for iOS 12, you won't get the menu and the shortcuts while long pressing on applications. right?
Okay, yes.
You
Yeah.
also a feature I use a lot is when writing in, let's say, a notes application or a text message, you could force press on any key in the keyboard, and then you could move the cursor that way, right?
Yes, I use that a
And
lot too.
and if you press even harder, then you could select text. Now, I found myself not needing that feature anymore, and the reason why is, first of all,
We could do it with the spacebar.
exactly. So first of all, you could do it with the spacebar, and secondly, the iPhone XR has a bigger screen than the iPhone I had before, meaning that I could easily, with my fat fingers, select text the regular way, which I couldn't really do previously. And so, aside for Peek and Pop, which I barely used honestly because
Same.
it was cumbersome, slow, and not
I
very
mean, at
useful.
that point, just open the URL. I never use Peek and Pop.
Yeah,
Even now, I don't.
I think it's only useful on the Mac, which is the only probably useful place because it loads websites like way faster. That's probably one of the only applications for it, for Peek and Pop. But aside that, not really, not a fan. And what?
And even shortcuts on apps from the home screen, I never use that. The
No, same
only
here.
app I use that shortcut on the home screen for is settings when I want to check my data usage. That's the only app I use the 3D touch on the home screen for applications. Is settings to check my data because there's like a cellular data shortcut from the 3D touch menu, and that's the only 3D touch home screen app that I use.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. I barely used any of those. And so I've grown to not even think about like, oh, I wish I had 3D touch. I don't. I don't look back.
But look, I mean, if Apple removed 3D touch, they must know what they're doing.
Well,
First, it cuts costs.
exactly.
And secondly, they wouldn't remove it if it's something that everybody used.
Yeah, no, that's the
So it
thing. The
must be a
statistics came out,
small. Exactly.
and like
So,
not a lot of people use 3D touch, and even the people who know it exists don't use it everywhere. So yeah.
yeah, like us.
Yeah. Another nice thing is being that it has the A12X, the A12 chip. Sorry, the A12 chip. It is super fast, and a thing that I really like, and I kind of didn't feel that I needed until I got this phone, is summoning Siri using the Yo Siri command. Makes
Yo, Siri.
Yo Siri was good. Summoning Siri using the Yo Siri command makes her, if it's a her, whatever, makes it pop up faster, makes it execute on your command faster, which,
Yes, for sure.
like I'm a fan. Sometimes you ask, Yo Siri, do this, and then it takes a while.
Like on the Apple Watch.
Yeah,
With its little calculator
not
processor.
Well, yeah. Well, the Apple Watch, it just doesn't know what it's just looking for. Like, oh, we lost Siri. Where's Siri? Where did she go?
Siri ran away.
Siri down. Siri down. Find her. Find Siri. And so on the iPhone, it's on the iPhone XR. It's really fast. I being that fast, I'm more inclined of using it more. So that's another thing. Another
Yeah, it's
aspect.
the same with my iPad. It's pretty snappy, Siri.
Totally, yeah. You probably have this. It's probably the same speed on your iPad and mine.
Gaming on the iPhone XR must be amazing.
Oh yeah, it is. Well, that comes with the speed. Overall speed is very fast. Everything is fast.
Yeah, but even the big screen and everything.
Yeah. So the notch and the bezels.
Yes. What is your, now that you had the phone for how much? 2-3 weeks?
Yeah.
What is your take on the notch?
I love the notch, especially for gaming.
Amen.
And here, let me explain. In regular use, you don't notice the notch. It just disappears. It's like if it wasn't there. People saying that, oh, the notch it's unrefined and not aesthetic and it shouldn't be there. Apple, you pride yourself in design, and you put a notch. It's so ugly. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just an elitist, and you're pretending to know what you're talking about. Of course, there's phones without notches, but they don't have face scan technology, which is safer than fingerprint scanning. And
Yes.
talking about face scanning, I love it. I don't even care anymore about Touch ID. Legit. Like
I know how you feel on the iPad. It's amazing.
it's like a solid experience, and I wouldn't go back. Legit, I wouldn't go back.
No.
It doesn't fail at all. It never fails on me.
And even the
Touch ID.
gestures,
Yeah.
gestures are A plus.
Oh, for sure. The way you navigate, but the bezels and the notch. So the XR has thicker bezels than the regular XS and the X, which I like, and here's why. When touching the phone, let's say playing a game or like holding it for watching a video or doing something in the portrait mode, you need a place to put your hands around the phone without touching the screen, which is really hard if you have really thin bezels. And I don't know how the people with the edge displays on the Samsung
Yeah, and
do it.
OnePlus.
It's probably always clicking and tapping, and like they never could get things done because they're always dismissing the menus and going back to where they were because they pressed on something, which is really like, and the
Well, my dad has a Samsung S9, and he has a case on it, so
True.
that helps a lot because when you grab the phone, you're holding onto the case rather than touching the screen.
Yeah, but your dad has an exceptional case. It's enormous.
Yeah, it is.
Most people like for some reason, I don't know why. Most Samsung users I know from like Samsung S8 to S10 will use it naked for some reason. I don't know why. They don't use cases. Like all the time I see Samsung users with no cases. Fearless. And the funny thing is always the glass is destroyed. It used to be like in the iPhone 4 to 5 era that all iPhone users had destroyed screens. No, now it's the Samsung people. They all have
Yeah,
destroyed.
I actually saw a guy on the bus with an S10 and he S10 Plus and the screen is broken.
Ouch, that's a new phone too.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's the reason for that is the screen is the glass and the screen and the back is really thin. And so what I like about this phone is they didn't care about how thick it was, for one reason, you know, it's thicker than the regular phones, which I like. It has phenomenal battery life due to that because they could squeeze in a bigger battery.
It's the best battery life on an iPhone ever.
Yep, totally, hands down.
It's even
Like,
better than the 10s and the 10s Max.
I could go for easily 9 hours of usage, which I did one day. I usually don't, but there's this one day I had to use my phone as a main like working thing, and like I had brightness very high. I was listening to podcast while working and typing and calling people all day, and I was on 3G on LTE actually on 4G, and I came back home at the end of the day, still had say 20% ish, not even.
Wow.
Even more actually, 25%, 24%, something like that. And so yeah, like we've been talking on FaceTime for what, 1 hour now, for the podcast. 1 hour 15 minutes. I woke up at 8. I did some work on my phone. I did some phone calls, and I watched a YouTube video, and what I'm at 81% right now.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm at I did maybe a little bit less of usage and I'm at 73.
There you go. And you haven't been using it as long as I was. I've been using it for like 4 hours right now. I'm in 4 hours usage right now, so it's a remarkable battery life. Like, I can't complain. And the notch acts as, when you're using it in portrait mode, as a protection against accidental touches. So for some reason, I'm right thumb dominant when I'm using my phone in portrait mode. I will use my right thumb, right?
Yes.
And so when I'm holding my phone in portrait mode, I will put the notch side facing that right hand with my thumb, and I'll use it that way. So if the lower part of my thumb touches the screen, it'll touch where the notch is, which will not lead or cause an accidental press.
Oh,
And
okay,
that's really cool.
Yeah, that is nice.
A nice thing also is the speakers.
Yeah.
The speakers are really solid. I was here last night in McDonald's with my friends, just chilling and talking, spending time together.
This
And
man was beatboxing from his phone.
no, but yeah. We were grabbing a bite, late night bite, and just like spending time together. And I wanted to show him a video on YouTube, and it was packed. For some reason, the McDonald's was jam packed.
What
And
time was it?
around midnight, 11, 12.
Look at all these gangster people getting their McDonald's at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, it's the one on the 440. It's on the highway. A lot of cars
Oh yeah,
passing
that
by.
one.
So the one near my house, not yours. And so it's have a lot of traffic and people all over the place. Like the parking was full, and
It's crazy.
I just pull out my phone, put this thing I wanted to show my friend, and blasted the volume to maybe 3/4, and it was loud enough for him to hear in a really crowded McDonald's with like the machinery, the cooking
That's really
equipment.
loud.
Yeah,
McDonald's is really loud, especially when it's crowded. It's loud.
yeah, and we had a loud group of people right next to us too, like a group of friends, older people. They were talking loudly as well.
Does the audio come out from the earpiece speaker also?
Yeah, it's dual audio. So there's the bottom firing one, and then the audio piece, which is really nice when you take phone calls. So you could properly hear when you're talking to someone, especially
Yes.
in the metro. So I'm talking on the metro,
Yeah.
and I could still hear everyone clearly. It's nice.
That's cool. That's cool.
The last observation I had, and actually we were talking about this earlier, is the camera. The camera is phenomenal. Like
Yes.
for a phone with only one lens on the backside.
Well, the second lens is only for zoom.
True, but they have
So
some.
it
They do use it for like they
A
have
bit
some
of depth sensing. But other than that, it's mostly just for zoom.
I think the zoom thing was only for like the iPhone 7. Then they started implementing it into more color correction features, and because the pixel density inside the lens wasn't the same, so they could get. I think one of the lenses was better at night, and they take multiple pictures with both lenses to combine them into one, which allows them to have a prettier picture. So yeah, maybe at the iPhone 7, it used to have only the purpose of zooming. Now I don't think so. From using Given's phone, the XS Max, I think it does some stuff. I'll have to look into it. I think John Gruber from Daring Fireball spoke about it.
Really, I didn't know that. I thought it was only for zoom.
I'll have to look into it, but yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, it takes very beautiful pictures for a single camera. The color is super accurate. The pictures are sharp. The videos are also excellent. I can't complain. I was taking a video in a presentation from the bottom of the end of the room. I was sitting in the back. I zoomed in completely, holding it with one hand, my phone, and when you zoom in on a video, your hand stutters. They appear even more.
Yeah, you see them a lot more.
Yeah, nothing. Forget it. There's no hands shaking. Nothing. It was like the most impressive. Yeah. It was the most impressive thing I saw. It's coming from the iPhone 6s Plus, which had maybe the second generation optical image stabilization after the iPhone 6. I saw that I saw how it performed, and I was really impressed. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's amazing.
that's my experience. And do you have other questions? Did I answer?
That's pretty much it. Just want to ask you, the case you're using is the Rhino Shield?
Yeah. So first I bought a cheap Walmart one because I don't want to drop my phone before receiving my real case. So I bought like a cheap $8, $9 one from Walmart, which was really nice, silicone, grippy, but it was always stuck in my pocket when I pulled it out.
Oh.
But then I ordered the Rhino Shield, which I'm really a fan of those cases. They're a bumper case design, where the back of it only goes around the perimeter of the phone. The back is exposed. And
Yes, that's cool.
I have experience with these cases on my 6S where they performed tremendously good. I dropped my phone a million times. Like I'm not kidding. I dropped it on concrete, on hard surfaces, on cement, on
But
tile, on anything. Nothing happens. So
the only
I'm.
problem with that is you dented your phone once.
But that was because it was in my pocket and I hit a corner of a table. That doesn't count.
I'm sorry, I just had to say that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Sorry for
true.
exposing you.
It's fine. But it is true that I did dent, but that it wasn't related to a drop or anything. It's just because I
No,
I had it in my pocket and walked into a corner of a table in a tight spot, and it just happened to hit my phone.
that
It
sucks.
happened twice. That's the thing.
Yeah, because that he comes to church once and he's like, I'm like, oh Michael, you don't have the dent on your phone anymore. He's like, yeah, I went to Apple and I got my phone replaced. Then like 3 weeks later, he goes back and there's a dent in the same spot.
The
Like
funny
Michael, what happened?
the funnier thing, I hit my phone. I hit my phone on the table in the same spot, the same table,
The same
twice.
table.
Yeah, live and learn, Michael. Live and learn. Yeah, no, that's
That was
it.
a funny story.
Yeah.
I mean, not for you, but it was for us. That's a good thing with the glass screens. You don't dent the phone.
Yeah, and the glass screen in the back are pretty thick compared to
Yeah, it
the
is.
rest.
Do you use the wireless charging? Did you get a wireless charger?
Not yet. I'm not convinced of that technology yet. I don't see a use for it. I charge my phone at night. I don't charge it during the day. So I don't worry about oh, I need to plug it in, I need to plug in my phone. I don't feel like unplugging it and plugging it. No, I just plug it at night. That's it. Done. Wake up in the morning, unplug it. It's all charged.
Yeah, I know. My dad with the S9. Before he had a Samsung, he had a LG G5, and then he went to the S9, and he really likes wireless charging because he charges his phone like at work during the day. Sometimes he'll charge his phone and at night. And he says he really likes the wireless charging, the fact that you don't need to like plug and unplug. He says he really likes that, and he likes the fact that it's more convenient because he doesn't need like the speed and the he doesn't mind the fact that the wireless charging is a bit slower. He just prefers the convenience. But also the case that he has is one of those cases that has the little like seals over the ports at the
Oh,
bottom.
it makes it hard to just put the wire in. Yeah, I
So
know.
exactly, you have to like open up the seal and like stick the wire in,
It's
and
an OtterBox,
so
right?
no, it's this. I don't know what it is. He got it off of Amazon. It's a pretty nice case. There's a funny story. Once he was watching one of my hockey games or practices, and he dropped his phone in the stanchion, and one of the other parents there thought it was a puck. That's how big his case is.
Oi,
But
oi.
yeah,
Good thing you didn't throw it on the
yeah.
throw it on the ice, and then one
You
of the
throw it
players
on the
slaps
ice and
it.
start playing hockey with the phone. But yeah, so I would enjoy wireless charging, but you don't find that wireless charging is that good.
No, well, I never used it. I don't see the need for it. I'll probably try it. I saw that 12 South.
A nice wireless charger from them.
They made something called the high-rise wireless charger, where it's a standing wireless charger. But the nice thing about it is you could detach the wireless charger coil from it, and then carry it with you and use it on
Oh,
the go. So you could keep the stand at home and then take the charger with you. And
that's really cool.
that looks interesting, honestly. I'll probably think about it if the price is right. I'll just maybe pull the trigger on it. But if not, I'm not dying for that stuff. It's not the life
Yeah,
changing.
exactly.
It's
So
still
I
not
think that's
actually
all.
wireless charging. You still have to put it on the pad. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like fully wireless charging. They're actually working on that. That's an interesting topic for another day.
Well, um, it wouldn't be an episode if we're not hating on Dwayne. And so I would just like to say that when we're talking about the Apple Watch, you know what Dwayne does?
What does Dwayne do?
He writes essays on his Apple Watch using the scrolly thing with his finger.
He uses the scribble to write essays on his Apple Watch?
Yeah, he writes
This
like
guy.
50-word text messages, paragraphs, fat
He writes
paragraphs.
poems to his friends
He
using the
writes,
scribble on the Apple Watch.
they're not even good poems.
No.
I
They're
hate that
poems
guy.
about California dials and his California Ferrari. He's always flexing on people with his California gear.
You know how Ferraris are prone to burn if you don't maintain them properly? They burn.
Really? I didn't know that.
Or if you modify them or you don't put the right components in it. Because they overheat. They're thermally built to work perfectly the way they are. If you change anything, it might be prone to burn. Well, I hope that Dwayne, one day, decides to change the exhaust and then burns his California. Probably
One
causing
day.
a wildfire in the California area.
Or maybe his Apple Watch will explode on him for some reason.
Oh my goodness. Terrible. I hate that guy.
Yeah,
He
he probably
I
deserves
hate that
it.
guy, but I wouldn't wish anything like that to him. I'm not that cruel.
Well, you said you wanted his Ferrari to burn.
Well, not him in it.
No, I know. But like Apple Watches exploding aren't that bad. I mean, the screen will just fall off
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't burn his wrist.
Oh, well, yeah. It's not like he's using his wrist anyways.
That's true. That's true.
Dwayne is the type of guy that puts like an Apple Watch on both hands.
Yeah, he has one on his left and his right.
Mm-hmm.
This
He
guy.
says that it's for redundancy, but redundancy for what? Oh dear. Oh dear. Like, Dwayne. How
This
would
guy.
the world be better without you?
I still have it in my reminders to text him every week, every day. No, wait, it was every week that he's ugly. That's why I'm excited for the new reminders app, because it'll remind me more
That's some
to
dedication
tell him
there.
that he's ugly.
That's dedication. Dedication.
Yeah.
You know what else Dwayne does?
He doesn't listen to the podcast.
He doesn't listen to the podcast, exactly. And so if you know someone that doesn't listen to the podcast like Dwayne, you should tell them, listen to the podcast. Tell your friends. Don't be like Dwayne. And tell your friends also, do not be like Dwayne by not following us on our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And so tell your friends. Follow us at the Again and Again podcast on Facebook and at the again.podcast on Instagram and at Again Podcast on Twitter. Tell your friends also to not be like Dwayne and send criticisms and recommendations. Email us at our email, the2apodcast@gmail.com, 2 being the number. And support us. Dwayne likes to give us 1-star ratings. Give us a 5-star. Don't be like Dwayne. And review us on the Apple Podcast. You could also share your podcast with family, like anyone you want. It's bound to find someone that's gonna be pleasing to. So you never know. You might make friends over this podcast. And so you could also become a Patreon member for $1 a month. Replenish the Tim Hortons Coffee Fund. We're happy to support this Canadian company. Unlike Dwayne, who drinks Starbucks, right?
Yeah, Dwayne drinks Starbucks and gets his donuts at Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh my goodness. And so that's all for today. Thank you very much for listening. We would like to see you next week as we're going to continue. And so that's all for today. Thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye.
Bye.